Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Nedarim Daf Vav. We are holding 2 lines from the top of the Amid, and we're going to discuss Yadais again. We may recall back on Daf Gimel, the Gemara tells us that we learn from a pasuk that even a partial expression of a neder, even just an initiation of a lashon neder, constitutes neder. It's called Yadais. Just as the handle of the pot gets you access to the pot, so you grab the pot by its handle, this part-way expression, this abbreviated neder expression, gets you the neder. Now, how clear, how apparent, how obvious does the yad have to be? Rava says very obvious. In fact, yadayim she'enon mechiches, a partial expression, which doesn't have apparent connotation, it's not clear and obvious where he is headed. Lo'yhavyun yadayim don't have the power of yadayim. It doesn't work. Abaye disagrees. Abaye says even a less than obvious yadayim, even an expression which has some degree of ambiguity, works as well. Meisvei says the Gemara on the second line, have a kasha on Abaye. The Brisa will tell us you have to be very clear in terms of yadayim. Hari hu alai. He's facing a loaf of bread. This should be on me. Well, he failed to conclude and say it should be what? It should be usher, it should be a carbon. So it's yadayim, and it becomes a neder. Or he said Hari ze alai. In both these cases, the halacha is usher, loaf is usher upon me. The Brisa explains, Mipnei shehu yad l'karban. This is the example of yad for neder, for carbon, which applies the isser like a carbon on this loaf of bread. End of quote. Why do we need the word alai if we don't need it to be too obvious? As per Abaye's approach, Tama da Amar alai, it only works because he added alai. Harihu alai, harize alai. Hu da asr, that's why it's asr. Avalai Amar alai, but without the word alai, it's less than obvious, it's less than apparent what he's trying to do. Loi, it doesn't work, and that's a tiyufta da Abaye, a kashan Abaye who says, even yodayim she'enon mechichais havyon yodayim. Amalach Abaye responds, here it's different. Tama da Amar alai, hu da asr. In this case, the isr is only because he said alai, which made it clear. He's attempting to make a neder. This is asr on me. Aval Amar harehu. But suppose he only says harehu. V'lo Amar alai without the word alai. You never know what he's trying to do. Who says it's related to isr? Who says it's connected to neder? Perhaps he's just trying to make it ownerless. Hefker. Harehu hefker. The hefker. Or harehu did tzedakah come. He's trying to make it hefker or tzedakah. You have no idea where he's driving. And therefore, in this case, and only in this case, does he have to be more specific. But if you have a situation where the yadayim indicate neder, even if it's not a clear and apparent expression, it works as well. But here it's different because harihu, harizeh can indicate tzedakah or hefker. Asks the Gemara, but no, harehu, that's your classic neder expression. Harizeh, that's the way you get a neder going. In fact, the Brisa clearly says so. The Brisa clearly explains that the word harihu, that's a classic expression for carbon, for neder. Right? The Brisa doesn't say shehu yad l'neder, mipnei shehu yad l'carbon, because that's the way you make a carbon with the word harihu. Right? That's how the Ran explains. The fact that the Brisa referenced carbon instead of just saying mipnei shehu yad l'neder, the Brisa is trying to tell you something. That the derech of a person is to use the lashon harihu, harizeh, when he donates, when he obligates himself to bring a carbon. So knowing that, the term harihu or harizeh alone should suffice to bring about the isser carbon, the isser on this loaf of bread. You don't need the alai, according to Abaye. Answers the Gemara on Abaye. Ella, rather like this. Truthfully speaking, even without a lie, he would have a neder going. Ella Ema will say like this: Tama de Amar Alai. Who? Dehu Asr v'chavere mutter. If you want it to be a limited Isser, you have to say a lie. Just the opposite. If you want to limit the Isser, say a lie. It's Asr on me. That makes it Asr to me, but not to you. Aval Omar Harehu. But suppose he only says Harehu without the alai. Is it Asr? Sure. Of course it's Asr. It's more Asr. Shnein Asr. Nobody can partake in this loaf of bread. The Dilma Harehu Hegdish Ka'amar. Perhaps he was simply trying to make this thing Hegdish, which makes it Asr upon all people. That's Abaye's response. Yadayim she'ein mechichos. Of course they work. You don't need a lie. It's apparent enough without the lie. In this specific case, where he said Arihu, if he stops there, it's going to expand the Isser. It's going to make it Asr on everybody, because we'll treat it like perhaps like it's Hegdish. Maybe that's what he had in mind. You have to go to Chumrah, explains the Ran. It's not a simple neder. It's Asr on everybody. If you want to make it limited and personal, make sure to add alai. Meisve, here comes another kasha on Abaye. You don't need to specify. You don't need to detail. Harezu chatas. He turns to an animal. This should be a chatas. Harezu asham. It should be an asham. What happens? Aval pishu chayev chatas. Even though this fellow happens to have a chiyev to bring a chatas, v'asham, or to bring an asham, by simply saying harezu chatas or harezu asham, without saying my chatas, my asham, just this should be chatas, that's not enough. Lo yomar klum, it's worthless. But harezu chatas, see, this should become my personal chatas. Harezu asham, me, my personal asham. Well, in this case, im haya mechuyev, if this fellow had already a chiyuv, he had an obligation to bring a chatas or asham, then it works. The verb kayamim, it stands. Why? According to Abaye, don't have to specify in detail to this extent. Simply harezu chatas should work. To Abaye, this seems to be a kasha on Abaye. Abaye will respond as follows: Hamani Rabbi Yehuda, you're right, 100% right. It's clear from this brisa the Yudayim have to be moichichos. But guess what? This is Shittas Rabbi Yehuda, which we mentioned yesterday, who says that by the get, you have to detail and specify, this is my get. Okay, I'm going with Shittas Rabbanan, who don't require all those extra specifications. According to Rabbanan, Yudayim don't need to be detailed to that extent. Asks the Gemara, but haven't we already discussed those machlokes, and we pretty much reconciled everything? We said get is different. Get has to uproot the marriage. It has to be very clear and obvious what's happening. Now we're reconnecting Nedarim to get. Rabbi Yehuda Amar no da Amri afilu Rabbi Yehuda. Yesterday, Abaye tells us, I hold that by neder, the Yudayim have to be mechichos. Don't have to be mechichos. By the get, it's totally different. The get has to be clear and crystal clear. So my shita and Rabbi Yehuda can match. It's okay. It's a different story. And here we're coming at that Abaye and Rabbi Yehuda don't follow the same track. Right? Abaye just told us, well, that brisa, which needs detailing, that's Rabbi Yehuda. I don't hold like Rabbi Yehuda, I hold like Rabbanan. And here, Abaye is telling us otherwise. Abaye tells us that yesterday Abaye tells us that by the get, everybody, it's a different story. Over there, you need more than just a regular neder. Anod da Amri, I feel Rabbi Yehuda. My shita can work with Rabbi Yehuda as well. Says the Gemara, Hodarei. The truth is that Abaye, sort of changed his mind here, and in fact, he's not going to set get apart. So basically, Rabbi Yehuda's shita by get is a universal shita. All yadayim have to be clear, have to be evident, and whether it's neder or get, it doesn't matter. And this price, which indicated that the expression has to be clear, chatosi, ashami, that's Rabbi Yehuda speaking, but I will follow shitas Rabbanan, just as by the get, they don't require advanced, detailing, likewise by Nedarim. Okay. Says the Gemara. So according to this, perhaps we're going to go back on the entire arrangement that we made yesterday. Elolema, perhaps we'll say, Rava Damak Rabbi Yehuda. Once we're no longer separating get from the rest of the bunch. So now let's go over to Rava. Rava is the one who tells us that by Nedarim, you need to specify. It needs to be Yadayim Mechiches. It would seem that Rava follows Rabbi Yehuda's shita by get, who requires detailing as well, and not like the Rabbanon, who don't require all those advanced details. Is that true? Lema Rava to Amak Rabbi Yehuda. So Rava is dafka like Rabbi Yehuda, not like the Rabbanon. Amalach Rava never will say no. Actually, Anod Amri, I feel the Rabbanon. I stick to my guns. I will go even with the Rabbanon, and get is different. So Rava will still insist that get is a different realm and doesn't relate to Nedarim. Why? Ad kan loika amir rabbanon. Perhaps it's only by the get, where the Rabbanon don't require yodayim mechiches. Elo gabe get. You know why? It's obvious. Who's divorcing? The other guy, the other wife. I'm divorcing my wife. They ain't other megash as eshes chaver. When he writes a get to this isha, it's obvious. He's divorcing his friend's wife? Of course not. So the situation itself lends to that clarity. And therefore, further detailing are not necessary. Aval ba'alma, but typically, for instance, by Nedarim, where the circumstance does not add clarity, where there's ambiguity in terms of his intention. Ba'inan yodai mechicha, certainly says Rav, in that case, you want to do an abbreviated expression, gesundheit, but it has to be clear. We have to have some sort of indication in terms of the direction that you're taking. Okay, so bottom line is, we have the machlekes between Abaye and Rava. Do yodayim have to be clear or not? And perhaps, or perhaps not, it matches the machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanon by the get. Here comes another question. Boy Rav Papa. So we know that by Neder we have Yadais. By Nazirus we have Yadais as well. We had the drasha back on Av Gimel. What about Kiddushin? Boy Rav Papa. Yesh Yad LeKiddushin Oiloi. The concept of a Yad, a partial expression, an incomplete verbalization. There's a work by Kiddushin, Yimakadosh and Isha, with a less than complete expression. Is it okay or not? Now we're speaking about a Yad Meichiach, says the Ran, something which is readily apparent in terms of where he's going. We know what he's trying to do. There's no question in terms of his intention, but he did not express the Lashon Kedushin in full. Does it work or not? Yesh Yad LeKiddushin Oiloi. Now the Ran explains why yes and why not. What are the tzadim of these suffix? So perhaps let's take a look at the Ran inside. So it's the top line, Boy Rav Papa, top line on the right side of the daf. Yesh Yad LeKiddushin V'chu. Says the Ran, you should know, Afilu b'Yad Mechiach k'me boile. We're speaking about a Yad Mechiach. This sugi now is unrelated to the previous sugi. It's clear, it's Mechiach. It's a conceptual question. Mi amrinan, shall we say, Nihidle Yisrabalu Yades Behedya. Although we have no drasha to add Yades by Kiddushin. Still, we could sort of connect it on our own to Nedarim, just like it works there, it works here. Oy or ein yad vafilu mechiach. Yad does not work by Kiddushin, period. Why? Why is it different than a neder? The Nedarim shani, the chamiri, the afilu b'debura ba'alma chayli. A neder is totally different. The essence of a neder is just verbalization, expression of words. It's a very chomer concept. Just words, wow, can accomplish much. So perhaps yadais work as well. A partial expression is as though we have the full expression. Masha'enkin b'kedushin, as opposed to kedushin, words aren't enough. You need to do something. Shein tzrichin is a masa, kesav, eshtab, biyah. There are specific methods of masa which generate kedushin. So since it's a more of a complex process, the wording that comes along with it perhaps has to be more complete and detailed. Okay, says the Gemara once again, Boira, Papa, yesh yad kedushin, oiloi, does yad activate kedushin or not? Hey Chidami, give me the example. Ilema de amr l'isha. So the Ran explains, he turns to Rachel and gives her 2 portions of kesef, 2 prutos, enough for her and her friend. Ilema de amr l'isha. Now he turns to Rachel, who got the 2 coins. Hariat mekudeshasli. You are mekudesh to me. Then he turns to Leah. V'amil chaverta, v'at nami. You as well. V'at nami. And actually the second coin that I handed to Rachel was meant for you, and she's going to be a shliach to accept it on your behalf. Does it work? Of course it works. Pshita, hainu kedushin atzman. This is a straightforward kedushin. He gave him money and he specified, you are mekudesh and you as well. That's not yad. There's no question that it works. Ella rather kigoin de amar la leisha harayat mekudeshasli. Rather, we're speaking that he gave 2 prutos to Rachel, harayat mekudeshasli. Then he turns to Leah, her friend, v'amar la lechaverta v'at. Just one word, and you. Not v'at nami, just v'at. What do you mean? Mi amrina, shall we say, v'at nami amar la lechaverta. It's as though he said, v'at nami. You too, you as well. V'tafsi b'kedushin l'chaverta. And Leah is mekudesh as well. By way of the yades method. Even though it's just a partial expression, it works. Or shall we say that the word va'at that he told Leah, well, va'at chazoi, amar lo l'chaverta. He was simply telling her to look on. Chazoi means to observe. Come watch. Va'at chazoi. And therefore kedushin would not be activated with respect to Leah. The Ran explains that of course va'at would indicate kedushin, you as well, but ultimately it's just a yad. It's not a full expression, and therefore the Gemara says we're going to sort of interpret it as va'at chazai, a non-kedushin expression, as though it was expressed in a non-kedushin context. Meaning halachically, we'll treat it as though he said va'at chazai, even though we know what he had in mind. Because yad does not work by kedushin. Asks the Gemara, what do you mean? Rav Papa is asking such a question? Rav Papa even has a notion that yad does not work by kedushin? Rav Papa himself, in Mesechas Kedushin, told us otherwise. Umimi boile Rav Papa really had such a question? V'ha, mid'amal Rav Papa l'Abaye. You see, in Gemara Kedushin Nafei, Rav Papa asked Abaye as follows. You see, Shmuel tells us over there that you can use yad by kedushin, provided that it's you can use yad by kedushin even if it's not meichiach, even if it's it's not specified or apparent. And Rav Papa asked Abaye, really? Mi savar Shmuel yodayim shein meichichos havni yodayim? Is it so that according to Shmuel, you don't need yodayim mechichos? And the Gemara asks a kasha from Shmuel himself that whenever you want to employ yodayim, it has to be clear, it has to be evident. Oh, from that kasha we see Mechlal der Svirle Rav Papa. Apparently Rav Papa himself, who asked this kasha, holds the Yeshiyad l'kedushin. There's no issue. Of course, theoretically, yad can work by kedushin. The problem was that it wasn't mechiach. It was less than apparent. It was an ambiguous yad. But in concept, yad, if it would be clear and detailed, it would work. So why is he having a question now Gemara whether or not yad in general works by kedushin? He himself seems to hold that it does. Answers the Gemara. His question to Abaye in Maseches Kedushin was simply on Shmuel's wavelength, meaning Shmuel himself seems to hold that Shmuel himself perhaps hold yad does work. Okay, but still, it has to be a clear yad. That was his question. But that question doesn't necessarily reflect Rav Papa's personal opinion. He himself wasn't sure whether or not Kedushin can be applied, yad can be applied to Kedushin or not. The Ran has an interesting question. He says, if we turn the daf back, we learned that by get, yad would work. And the question is why? Here we're not sure whether it works by Kedushin, and by get we're sure. Why? What's the difference? He says, very simply, that by get, you have the Isha in front of you, and you're giving her the get. So what's your question? The wording in the get, did he mean from me to you? Did he mean the get? He's taking the get from himself, giving it to her. It's pretty clear what he's trying to do. So therefore, says the Ran, over there, ultimately it's not even a yad. He calls it ikar mechiach. And therefore, there's no question that it works. Even if it's not 100% clear. He didn't write the word v'dain, this should be from me. He just writes, standard nusach, harayat materes kol, gives her the get. It's pretty clear what he's trying to do. It's a husband divorcing his wife. As opposed to the yad by kedushin, which isn't readily apparent. Va'at and this, we're not sure exactly what's going on, or at least it's not clear. It's not a full expression. And therefore it's a yad. Now the Ran actually did point out before that in the following case, it would certainly work even by Kedushin. Let's say he takes a coin and gives it to Leah as well and says Va'at. This is like the case of the get. He's actually addressing her and giving her something. There's a masa that's reflective of what he's trying to do. So again, he has Rachel and Leah. Instead of giving 2 prutas to Rachel and starting the process with her and then completing with Leah by just saying Va'at, without giving her anything, that's the yad. But had he given a pruta to Rachel, Haret Mekadeshesli, and a pruta to Leah, and just said Va'at, of course that would work. Because here you have a mas, you have a direct act between him and her. Of course, it's mechiach, it's clear, it's an ikar, it's not even a yad. Of course it would work. So bottom line is, if he actually gives a pruta to Leah, there's no question it works. Even if he just uses incomplete wording, just va'at, after having been mekadesh Rachel, of course, it's a masa done to Leah, it's clear what he's trying to do. Likewise, if he gives 2 prutas to Rachel, and tells her, Hareit mekudeshesli, and then turns to Leah and says, va'at nami, you as well, that certainly works. That's also an outright expression of Kedushin. The only question is, if instead of saying va'at nami, he said va'at, that's a yad. And we're not sure whether that works. Another question presented by Rav Papa. Boy Rav Papa, yesh yad lepeya? We know that a fellow is meant to leave a portion of his field, the corner, for the poor people. Does yad work by peya or not? So when he's designating his peya, can he just employ partial expressions? Yesh yad lepeya, or ein yad lepeya? Hechidami, what exactly are we speaking about? He pointed to a patch. This ugya should be peya. And then he turned to the next patch. And this as well. There's no question it works. Hayi peya ma'al yosi. That's the perfect peya. It's an outright expression of clarity. There's no shorthand expression there. This should be and this should also be. He come and boil the questions like this. He going down over hadain. So he designates one patch, turns to the other patch, v'hadain. V'lo yomar nami, without saying nami, this as well, just this and this. My, what is the halacha? So the Ran explains why yes, why not. Well, why not? It's pretty obvious because there is no pasuk by peya that yodas work. Why yes? As the more later will tell us, because there's a hakish. The Torah connects peya to karbonis, and just as we have yad by karbonis, by nedarim, we should have it by peya as well. We'll see in a minute. But just as a side point now, says the Gemara, it's pretty clear that we're speaking that the first patch which he designated contained the required quantity, the required share for Peah. With the Rabbanan there's a share, 1/60th of the field. Because otherwise, says the Ran, if he hadn't yet given his quota, the required amount, then of course, the second patch is meant to be added to the first patch. Even just an incomplete Lashon V'Hadein should be enough. Because it's one designation, this and this, because it's all one shear. We're speaking that he already gave away this shear. He was Yaitzi this shear, now he's trying to add more. And he used just partial expressions, abbreviated version of a designation. V'Hadein. Does it work or not? So the Gemara is going to take that to task. Really? You can do that? You can add and add? Michlal, do you mean to say Dichi Omar Sadek Kula to have a Peah? Suppose a farmer gave away his entire field as Peah. Have a Peah, does that work? So, he just took one kernel for himself and gave everything else away. Does that work? Yes. V'Atanya, as we learned, Menayin Shem Roitze Latzos Kol Sadeo Peah Oise. How do we know that a person just give away his entire field as Peah? Tamalayim, the pasuk in describing Peah says Pa'as Sadacha, the corner of your field. It could have just said Peah Shebesadcha. Pa'as Sadacha, says the Ran, indicates that the Sada and the Peah go together. You can give the entire field away. Okay, back to the question. Does Yad work by Peah? Why yes and why not? Miyamrina, shall we suggest, given the Iskesh l'Karbonis, since we find that Peah and Karbonis are bunched together in the same pasuk, we'll connect them. Ma Karbonis yesh lam Yad. Just like by the Karbonis we find Yad. Av Peah yesh la Yad, likewise by Peah, Dilma, or perhaps we can say Ki Iskesh. True. Peah and Karbonis were connected with respect to a different halacha. L'bal ta'achar, don't delay. Who the Iskesh, that's the connection. Just like you don't delay Karbonis, you don't delay Peah. But when it comes to Yad, not necessarily. Okay, now the one last question. Ve'echa Iskesh, where in fact do we find that Peah and Karbonis were connected? The Sanya, this is the pasuk of Bal Ta'achar, don't delay fulfilling your commitments. Don't delay bringing your Karbonis. And also Me'imcha. What is Me'imcha alluding to? Things which you possess. Things that you're meant to give away to the Aniyim. It's a leket, shikha, Peah. So leket is the stalk that you drop while you harvest, the shikha, the bundle that you forgot, and the Peah, the corner of your field. Bal Ta'achar applies to these. So perhaps the connection is just for Bal Ta'achar, or perhaps goes further to Yades as well. We leave it with a question mark. So the bottom line is, we discussed the machlekes between Abaye and Rava, whether Yades have to be clear and mechichos or not. We had two questions presented by Rav Papa, whether the concept of Yad at all would work by Kiddushin or would work by Peah. We left it unresolved. Be well and Hatzlacha Rabbah.